Hi, I'm Matt, and on today's Matt's World DIY, I'm going to make a light and fluffy, delicious cheesecake. It's so simple and easy, let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to do is get my graham cracker crust ready. So I've preheated my oven at 350 degrees, and I have my ingredients ready to start assembling. So let's get this process going. So I'm going to use my food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can do this just fine without one, simply by crushing your graham crackers and adding the other ingredients finely chopped. But since I have this thing, I'm going to use it. Inside my food processor, I'm going to add about 16 to 18 graham crackers. This is going to make about a cup to a cup and a half of graham cracker crumbs. To this, I'm going to add 1 cup of toasted pecans. Toast your pecans because it adds a richness to the flavor that you're not going to get if you don't toast them. Pulse this until you have a nice sandy consistency. I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and I'm slowly going to pour and pulse about 5 tablespoons of butter, melted butter, into this. Be careful not to add too much butter, because if you do, you're going to end up having a more greasy, kind of soggy crust, and you don't want that. You want it to end up cooking and baking nice and crispy. If you want to test to see the consistency of your crust, you can put some graham crackers into a little tablespoon thing, press down, and if it comes out and it's like shaped into the mold of whatever you put it in, like this spoon, then you're in good shape. This looks really good, and it smells amazing. So we're ready to go on this. Now that I have all my delicious ingredients in my food processor, they're all crumbly and beautiful, I'm going to carefully remove the blade and pour this into a 9-inch springform pan. With my crumbs in my 9-inch springform pan, I'm just going to sift that around just to get it evenly distributed. Then take the bottom of a flat glass or measuring cup and press out and to the sides. You want to get a nice even coverage of your graham crackers on the bottom and the side edges on the wall of your springform pan. If you wanted to and you had enough of the graham cracker crumbs, you could push it all the way up the sides and have a nice level, even wall around your cheesecake. Mine's going to be a little bit more rustic looking, and that's going to be fine for me. You do what you want. Okay, so I'm going to put this in my 350 degree oven for about 10 minutes. And then don't overcook it. You don't want to burn your crust. While my graham cracker crust is cooling, I'm going to assemble the ingredients for the filling of my cheesecake. So one of the things I want to say is I'm using this big guy stand mixer. I've had people ask me, what's the brand of that mixer? Where did you get it from? How much was it? So all these questions can be answered by checking out the link that I've put in the description below. Now, I am an affiliate member for Amazon, so if you click on the link and you purchase something, I do get a little bit of kickback. It's not much at all, but at least there's a little something there, information for you to better educate yourself on what the equipment is that I'm using here. Before I put anything into my mixer bowl, I want to let you know that whatever you use room temperature ingredients. If you don't use room temperature ingredients, especially for something like a cheesecake, you're going to end up having an uneven baked cake. And what that can create for a cheesecake is a gnarly, cracked top. And you don't want that. Our goal is to have a nice, smooth, velvety, silky smooth, clear top that doesn't have any cracks in it. So here's what we need to do. We're going to start with room temperature once again, 3 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. I've had this cream cheese out. As you can see, I've pushed a spoon into it to see how hard it was or whatever, but I dimpled it with a spoon, and I know that it's at room temperature now. And what we're going to do with the paddle attachment on our mixer, we're going to mix this for about a minute or so until it's nice and smooth. Some people will say, well, can I use a whisk attachment? Yes, you can, but you do run the risk of pumping too much air into the batter if you use a whisk attachment. So I'm going to use the paddle attachment just to be safe, be on the safe side. All right, so it's been mixing just for a little bit, and I want to take a look at it. And you see how it's stuck here into the paddle? I want to get that out of there and also scrape down the edge of the bowl just to kind of help pull some of that cream cheese out from the wall of the bowl and help it get mixed a little bit better. I sure hope I don't break another spatula today. That has been one of the curses of my kitchen, breaking spatulas. Let's see how well this one holds up. I don't know. I may have to switch to a wooden spoon. All right, with my cream cheese mixed up, softened up a little bit, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a cup of sugar. I'm also going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Let's blend this up until it's nice and silky and see where we go from there. I want to make sure I scrape down the bowl a little bit because, you know, we just want to make sure that all of our ingredients are well incorporated. This looks so creamy and delicious. It does. It looks like it's getting there. I'm going to put this on medium low and add my eggs one at a time. 3 eggs, one at a time, medium low. 1. You want to add these one at a time just to be able to give the mixture the opportunity to incorporate the egg. Here's 2. If you put all of these eggs in at one time, it would just kind of be harder for the mixture to combine and just be absorbed and incorporated into the mixture. And then we have our last one. I'm gonna let this mix just for a second, scrape down the bowl, mix some more. All right, so it's mixing very well, but I see that there are bits of egg and yolk around the edge of the bowl that I want to scrape down to get everything very, very well incorporated. To help my batter stabilize a little bit more, I'm going to add just the slightest bit of flour to the mixture. Now, what you want to do is you want to definitely make sure it's sifted. Don't just drop flour into this because you'll end up having a clump of flour in your cake, and that's not good. So I'm just dusting a little bit, mix on low, okay? Just to incorporate that flour really slowly so that it gets fully combined into it and it works in throughout the entire mixture. It's about 2.5 tablespoons of flour that we're adding to the mixture. Now from here, I want to add 1/2 cup of sour cream. This is going to add yet more richness and depth of flavor to our cheesecake. We're going to give this our final mix and then go from there. All right, let's see what our batter is looking like now. This looks absolutely amazing. It looks wonderful. I'm going to take now and get this ready to put into my cooled graham cracker crust. Graham cracker crust, yes. So before I bring my crust over here, I just want to give this one more final hand mix just to make sure everything is as it should be, as it needs to be, so that we have a nice, even, smooth bake. So I have my crust on the baking sheet. It's a lined baking sheet. Not necessarily because I'm concerned that things might overflow or whatever. It's just going to be an easier way to transport the cake from counter to oven and oven to counter. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this into my cooled crust. Looks great. And I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit. So this is going to go into my 350-degree oven just for about 15 minutes. From there, I'm going to turn the oven down to 300 and let it bake for another 30-35 minutes. What you will see at that point is that the cake has become a bit firm, but it still wobbles a bit whenever you shake it. After that, we're going to leave the cake in the oven with the oven turned off and the door closed for an hour. After the cheesecake has been in the shut, turned off oven for an hour, take the cake out and let it cool for another hour out in the room. And then from there, you can put it in the refrigerator and let it chill for about 6 hours or so before you take it out of the pan and start enjoying it. So it's the day after I've made my cheesecake. It's still in the refrigerator right now, but while it's finishing up, I've decided I'm going to make a chocolate ganache for the top. And so here is a quick and easy chocolate deliciousness that we can put on top of it. Here's how to do it. 1 cup of chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chips, 2/3 of a cup of hot, heavy whipping cream. I'm going to pour that on top and just let that sit for about 1 to 2 minutes before I stir it. And but I'm also going to add just a touch of vanilla, just about a teaspoon of vanilla. Whoops. And this is really good vanilla. So I'm going to let this sit for just a little while to heat up those chips. Then I'll start stirring it. And it's going to look a little rough at the beginning, but trust me, it'll get smooth and it's going to be good. Now let's take a look at this cheesecake situation and how to dismount it from the pan. Now, yesterday when it was sitting at room temperature, to get to room temperature, I took the opportunity to run a knife along the outer edge before I put it in the refrigerator, and it sat in the refrigerator overnight. But since it's been sitting, I'm going to run my knife one more time just along the outside edge, just to make sure that we don't have anything clinging to the outside of the pan that's going to give us any situation, any kind of problems that won't be problematic. Let's open up the springform pan, and there goes the crust. It's all whoosh, collapsing on itself. This is the reality of baking. Sometimes things turn out right, sometimes they don't. And this might be one of those it doesn't time. Oh, it's going to be a disaster. There it goes. Yep. There's still crust around the, there's still a crummy crust around the edge, but a lot of it has just fallen apart. This is terrible. Okay. All right, I'm going to work with what I've got. So what I want to do, I want to make sure that I run an offset spatula under the underside of my cheesecake so that it lifts off of the pan. Now that my countertop is clean of all those crumbs, I'm going to take and pour my ganache on top of this lovely cheesecake. I'm just going to pour it into the middle here, and now I'm going to spread it out just a little to get to the edges. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let it set for a few hours. I have time. So let it set in there for an hour or more, and then it'll be ready to slice up and serve. So total time, my cheesecake has been in the refrigerator overnight. And then after I poured the ganache over it, it's been in the refrigerator for another approximately an hour. And now I can't wait any longer. I want to cut into this thing and give it a taste. So let's get to it. This cheesecake is divine. It's light, it's fluffy, it's rich, it's ooey gooey delicious. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and a like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out some of my other sweets and bakes I have on my Sweets and Bakes playlist. I'll see you next time.